Welcome back to Island Bike Life. Today, we're going to take a look at a frame protection company called Ride Wrap. They've been around for a few years. They're a Canadian-based brand, and they're one of a few different options to protect your mountain bike or road bike from debris, rock chips, make general cleaning a little bit easier. For anybody completely unfamiliar with Ride Wrap, they do things a little bit different than some other frame protection brands out there. They offer their kits in a variety of coverage options. They have a kit called the Essentials, Covered, and Tailored. These all vary in terms of the percentage, I guess you could say, of the frame that is covered, going from Essential being the least amount of coverage, all the way up to Tailored being almost entirely covered on all portions of the frame. The Happy Medium is what they call their covered kit, and this will be a generic fit for most bikes in certain bike frame sizing. Now this isn't going to be completely covered, of course, but it's going to cover a lot of those key areas: your down tube, your top tube, your chain and seat stays, all those sorts of high wear areas that if you're looking for just generic coverage, this is a nice happy medium of the road. They also offer a fork coverage kit that comes in a variety of different forks from Fox, RockShox, DVO, etc. Included in every box is going to be the generic tips that come from Ride Wrap themselves, as well as some of the install tools that you're going to want to use, which includes a microfiber towel, a squeegee, the alcohol wipes, a blueprint or map, if you will, of which pieces go where on your bike. This is going to be a custom drawing depending on which bike you have. It's not a very generic picture. It's very specific to each bike, especially if you get the tailored kit for your specific ride. Having done a few of these sorts of kits, either from Ride Wrap or other people, and various sort of frame protector or paint protection film on vehicles, a few things that are not mentioned specifically, but what I would recommend is having two different water bottles. One having a slip solution in it, which is basically some water with a few drops of baby shampoo. The second being an isopropyl alcohol mix, any IPA that you can get, say at a drugstore, diluted, kind of half and half or even less than that with water, and a thicker, less flexible squeegee, which I got at an auto parts store quite a few years ago. The IPA mix is really one of the most important things that they don't really talk about, but it's going to make the job go a lot easier with getting all your edges and pieces finally tacked down once you get them put into place. So before you get started, you're going to want to make sure your frame is as clean as you possibly can get it. So if this is an older bike, really get in there, deep clean your bike. If you have the ability to remove all of your components, really remove any dirt, because you don't want anything underneath the frame tape. That's one, you're going to see it, and two, it's going to affect the ability for the frame tape to bond to the surface. Ideally, you're going to do this on a brand new bike that's never been ridden. It's going to save you a whole world of headache. Once your frame is clean, use the alcohol wipes that are supplied by Ride Wrap. This is going to just remove any additional oils, maybe from your fingertips, or any cleaning solutions that you might have had, or even just remove any dust that you might have just in the air that has settled on your frame while you're getting ready to go. Identify the piece that you're going to work on. Ride Wrap has a number coding system that suggests that you install the pieces in a specific order to make fitment easier. I would agree with their order, with one exception being that they have the head tube kind of in between the top and the down tube pieces. I find it's easier to do the head tube first. It makes aligning those other two much easier down the line. Other than that, basically just follow 1 through 14 or 15, depending on how many pieces you have on your kit. With the piece identified, spray that specific part of the frame with the slip solution as well as your fingertips. That's going to avoid them sticking and leaving any fingerprints or oils on the adhesive side of the frame tape. It's going to make it a lot easier. Spray both sides of the frame tape as well. Both the outside and the adhesive side is going to make placement and making sort of micro adjustments on the frame itself a lot easier. You're not going to have any binding, so that's a key step as well. Once your piece is prepped, you're going to want to start putting it onto the frame. Now, each piece is going to be a little bit different on how I would tackle it. Smaller pieces go a lot quicker. They're not generally as specific or have as many cutouts, so the alignment can be really simple. Much larger pieces, say like the down tube or the top tube, they're going to take a little bit longer to line up properly. They have some relief cuts for bends depending on the shape of your bike, but also they're going to have to wrap around. And so you want to do some test fitments before you start tacking things down to make sure that they align where you want them, especially over, say, water bottle grommet holes or built-in shuttle guards or down tube protectors, those sorts of things. It's going to be very case specific, so take your time, especially on the larger pieces. More often than not, I will start by kind of pressing in the center of whatever piece I'm working on once I have it aligned. This is going to do a couple of things. One, it's going to prevent it from moving around as I'm squeegeeing out the solution, but also it gives me a nice starting point. Starting at the center, again, depending on the piece that you're working on, working down or working up or side to side, you just want to really take your time and push out any of that solution. Lighting, especially in this step, is very key. Having a bright room where you can see any air bubbles or solution that's behind the tape is going to be really difficult to get out later. So this step really is probably the most important. You want to push all of that liquid out to the edges and leave the edges for last. Once your main piece is kind of secure, it's aligned where you want it, and now you're going to move to the edges. This is where the alcohol solution really comes in handy. You've just spent the last few minutes pushing all of that slip solution out to these edge pieces, and they're going to be fairly heavily saturated with that baby soap, which is going to make securing the edges very difficult. A quick spray with the alcohol solution will basically nullify that. It will break down that shampoo, and your edges are going to stick like really fast. Another time when this is helpful is, say, if you have a long piece like a down tube or a top tube, once you have the generic fit, would be to tack down one end, say at your headset bearing side or your C-tube side, and then push the opposite direction. That'll prevent the piece from sliding as you're removing the solution. Working your way around on these edges, again, depending on which piece you're working on, might be very quick and very simple. Or if you're working on a piece, say like a chain stay or a seat stay, you're gonna have very long edges. And so in order to prevent them from stretching and creating what are called fingers, which would look like little bumps in the frame tape, kind of starting in the middle and working your way out in opposite directions, you know, like center, to the right, to the left, and back and forth will prevent the frame tape from stretching more than it should, and it's going to allow you to have better coverage overall, and any additional pieces that are going to be coming in next to it will line up much nicer because you're going to avoid that stretch. Last step on every piece is to take your microfiber towel, wipe off around the edges, soaking up any additional solution that might be in there. You don't want it to drip down, which might affect other pieces sticking or being able to move around as you work through the rest of your bike. On more complicated pieces, like say head tube badges, for example, these are areas that often will have a badge. You're going to have access ports potentially for routed, you know, brake lines, shifter lines, dropper cable lines. There's going to be a lot of relief cuts in the piece of frame tape itself. These can be really tricky. They're very easy to misalign and they're very easy to stretch because there's so many little pieces that need to kind of jigsaw together for the tailored coverage. My tip for this is to really tack it down in the middle. So taking, say, the middle of your frame badge up and down in the center, tack that center so you know that that is where you're at, and then work one side completely and then the other. Really taking your time, really use that alcohol solution to get those pieces aligned, you know, kind of inch by inch without overstretching or misaligning them as best as you can. Now, once it's down, if you find you've made a mistake, you can spray in some of that slip solution. It'll help move that adhesive and you'll be able to lift it up and readjust it add some more alcohol in there, and just repeat as necessary. But these sorts of pieces, like the head tube, for example, are definitely going to be one of the more challenging ones and probably one of the more time-consuming ones overall. So what are my final thoughts on frame tape, ride wrap in general? Well, ride wrap generally is a great product. The fitment is excellent. They're a great company to deal with. The instructions are very clear. They give you everything you need to do this and tackle this job, which really is not all that difficult. It's just time consuming. In general, I don't do this sort of thing with my bikes for any sort of resale value. I don't think it really adds all that much. Yeah, the paint's a little bit nicer for the next person who purchases my bike, and that's great for them, I guess. But for me, the reason I do it is for general maintenance and cleaning. Here where we ride, especially in the wintertime, your bike is disgusting all the time. And it's really nice to be able to just simply hose it down. The frame tape allows cleaning to just go that much quicker. Everything just kind of falls off of it, especially if you do it right away. And even if it's, you know, kind of old, dried up dirt or mud, whatever, having the frame tape, I don't have to worry about scratching it with a cloth or a brush or whatever the case might be. So for me, the reason I do it is the time savings during cleaning. It has saved me in the past, you know, with little rock chips, it'll peel the frame tape instead of chipping the paint, and that's sure a nice bonus. And overall, I just like the protection that it does give. Yes, the edges are gonna pull up. You're gonna get some dirt from time to time along the seams. So be it, not a big deal. For me, I absolutely endorse frame tape like this, and specifically ride wrap in general. From the various ones that I've used, I find their fitment to be excellent, especially in the tailored kits. The covered kits that I've seen and used as well are very good. They cover a vast majority of the high wear areas, and no matter which way you go, you know, sort of that essential covered or tailored kit, you're not going to be disappointed. There's absolutely no doubt about that. Most bike shops here in Nanaimo or anywhere at this stage of the game are going to have ride wrap kits in stock for the bikes that they carry. If for whatever reason you can't find one, you can order them online. Quick turnaround, quick shipping, and great customer service from the fellas and gals over at Ride Wrap. So I hope this video was helpful. A couple tips and tricks from me to you on ways that you can go about installing your ride wrap kit on whatever ride you got. Get it on there, get out and ride your bike. Thanks for watching. Let's go hit the trails.